And another theory I'm working on as well, right, is that in regards to the different level of languages, you need to place a different emphasis, right? When you're first starting out in a language, you should be focused on speaking and conquering basic situations, right? You have zero in the language, you need to build up some groundwork of basic phrases and things like that in order to then be able to go back and dissect it and learn the grammar, right? You shouldn't be as focused on grammar, right? Then when you're in like that middle intermediate stage, right? Uh, I guess in that like upper beginner stage, you do have to learn the grammar, right? But you should be focused on those situations and learning the grammar as it comes, right? Not like, oh my God, what is the present tense? What is this tense? What is that? Stupid. Learn to conquer situations, learn to handle basic conversations. And then as you see the patterns and you're like, oh, what is this? I've seen this 3 or 4 times, right? I want to figure out what this means or how this works, right? Then you learn the grammar, right? In the middle, once you're at like an intermediate level, you can have like those basic conversations and you feel like, okay, I can kind of live life, but it's pretty limited, right? I can ask what I'm going to do, what I did last week. I can talk about that basic stuff, but it's pretty limited, right? The answer is to read. You have to read in that intermediate stage because the whole thing there in the intermediate stage is your limiting factor is vocabulary, right? So you have to read. By reading, you're able to one take the time to kind of dissect things. You're able to see like, oh, this is the grammar I've been studying, right? And you also get to pick up words, right? And start off reading things that are simple, right? Books that you've already read, things that are interest to you. If, like I'm really into history, right? So like I read history a lot in new languages, Um, and then once you're at that, once you get past that hump where like vocabulary is your limiting factor, you kind of got to go back to speaking, right? Once you feel like, yeah, all of this, I can kind of talk about a lot of the things, right? You need to go and speak and you need to have a teacher who's going to push you and like ask you weird questions and force you to stretch your limits, right? Because at a certain point, once you're in that intermediate stage, you could stay in that intermediate stage for forever, right? And live your life perfectly fine, right? But you're not going to be able to go above and beyond, right? You if you're not gonna go live in the country, you have to find a teacher who's gonna like push you and ask you weird questions and get you outside of your comfort zone. Start asking like hypothetical things like, what would you do if you won the lottery? Right? Make you read weird things, make you read current events, discuss and debate. Even though it feels like, I know I don't feel like super comfortable. I feel like I'm really, struggling with this. That's the whole point. You gotta struggle to an extent, especially in that advanced stage.